Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's Stories and Yonko back here with another video, and we are going to be talking about Devin, the Dream, Debo Haney, as they call him. I know some people, old heads, don't like when you call him Debo. It entails that he's, I guess, bullying people, and y'all got to understand what sarcasm is. Like, sometimes I just got to go with the flow. Not everything should be taken serious. Not everything is like, oh, like, what do you mean he's Debo? He's not knocking nobody out. Like, relax. Chill out, okay? Like, dwell in the moment. A lot of these older cats do not understand sarcasm, satire. They don't understand. They live in a serious world when they're unserious, okay? But we're going to be talking about Devin Haney and his recent performance over Brian Norman Jr. And honestly, I picked Brian Norman Jr. to beat him. And it wasn't because I hated Devin Haney. I understood it was a 50-50 fight from my perspective. I didn't have it to where, oh, Brian Norman was just going to go in there and knock him out. I talked a lot with my friend and talked about how, it could go either way. It can go Norman's way just based on power, based on, just being a dangerous fighter. But it can go Haney's way because he's far more skilled, better footwork. He just has a overall better skill set than Norman Jr. And it went David Haney's way. And in the fight, the second round, he knocked Brian Norman Jr. down, and everybody was hyped, and everybody was like, oh, like even me, I'm like, wow, right? And he was using his jab, pretty nice lightning jab. And after that, I want to say maybe after round 4, after round 5, it just completely tapered off. And after the fight, everybody gave him his props, which was deserved. But then we started to get into a whole other conversation of him being able to beat this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy. And I'm going to keep it real with y'all. The triangle does not work if you use a fighter that did not beat any other guy that you're saying that this guy that beat him, like it only works. And then really you're not supposed to use it. But if Brian Norman Jr. beat Jerron Boots Ennis or looked halfway decent against Boots, but the fight never happened, then you could say, oh man, Devin Haney has a chance against Boots because Brian Norman Jr. gave him a tough fight. You can't correlate, like these guys with the other guys if they never fought those guys. Like, so if they beat this guy, that doesn't mean that they can beat that guy, okay? It's guys. But you got guys. If you guys don't understand what I'm referencing, Drake, okay? But no. Devin Haney, he is the best fighter at 147. And to be fair, 147 is the worst division in boxing right now. It's horrible. Like, that all the champions are not meant to be champions in any other division. Like, say, Rolly wouldn't be a champion at 140. He was. Got the belt took off him. Pitbull Cruz got that belt took off him by Rayo. Rayo got the belt taken off him by Gary Antoine Russell. And that's somebody who was literally a champion, right? And he lost to Puello. But I'm saying 147 is not the strongest division to where we could judge Devin Haney in comparison to guys at 154 or even guys at 140 or even guys at 135 still. We understand what the division is. And I'm not going to try to downplay Devin Haney and say that he's not a good boxer. He is a good boxer. But let's put things in their proper context and say that Brian Norman Jr., yes, he was young. And honestly, he needs a new trainer. I'm going to keep it real. He was young. He was inexperienced. He just didn't have no answers for Devin Haney. But to be fair, in the later rounds, the second half of the fight, he did start to have some success with Devin Haney. I'm not just going to sit up here and act like Devin Haney just outboxing for 12 rounds. If you're pretending that it was a masterclass, you're delusional. I'm just keeping it real. It was not a masterclass by no means. Haney had the worst performance out of everybody that night. And I think it was more of an issue of what Brian Norman Jr. wasn't doing rather than what Haney was doing, because Haney didn't even use his jab in the second half of the fight. He would jab, but then it'll be a clinch. And people are like, oh, well, Norman was clinching too. Regardless, Like he wasn't putting on levels throughout 12 rounds. He wasn't showing his skill set throughout 12 rounds. And I think that's the issue that people like me may have with a Devin Haney. And you got haters. You have legit haters. Like you got guys that were Loma fans that or Tank fans or Shakur fans, which I am a fan of Shakur, TO fans. Those are the guys that may have some disdain for Haney. You know, they'll be like, oh, Haney's this, Haney's that, he's chinny. Even Ryan fans, if those even exist, seems like they only exist on TikTok. But I'm saying people legitimately don't like Devin Haney, either for his fighting style or because they're fans of another fighter, and they root for the latest guy to take down Devin Haney. They root for the latest guy to destroy Devin Haney, and I think that there was somewhat of an element with that with Brian Norman Jr., but I do feel like other people believe that Brian Norman Jr. stood a chance, and he disappointed. Like he disappointed. He didn't show half of what I thought that he could do. Okay, but it had a lot to do with Devin Haney being that good, but also with Brian Norman Jr. just being that bad, right? So is Devin Haney a good boxer? Yes. But is Devin Haney on the level of the guys at 154? No, I don't. I think Xander Zayas could beat him. I think that Boots can beat him. I think Boots would destroy him. I think Virgil Ortiz can beat him. Backroom just depends. That depends. Abbas Baru would make it a very tough fight, very more physical than Brian Norman Jr. So not sure how that would go, but Devin Haney and Frondor, no, I don't think he wins that fight. Devin Haney is just in his own tier like right now, and it's not to say he's above this guy or below that guy. It's just that he's in his own tier just based on the weight class that he's in, and the weight class that he's in, it's not all that good. You got Rolly as a champion. You have Barrios as a champion. You have Crocker, which is the worst champion in boxing right now. And then he's a champion. Brian Norman was the most comp that he could have had. You have a guy like Karen Kujazian. You have Amontes Stanionis. You have other guys there in the 147 division that can give Haney, a good challenge, but they're not the champions right now. So, and they're not even ranked. I think Stanionis is ranked though, by the Ring magazine. So there's other fights there, but I'm not going to jump out the window and say that this proved that Devin Haney is back. And because how he looked against Regis, that was my favorite Haney fight. He looked amazing, and it's just all praise to him. The guy, he fought back through adversity. Him and his dad, some of the hate that they have is warranted, and it's not even from the antics. It's not even from that. It's just based on his boxing style. That's it. My criticism comes from the way that he operates in the ring. Devin Haney can show levels. Like with Floyd would show you levels. It's not to say that Floyd didn't clinch or whatever like that, or fighters that clinch are just these horrible boxers and they're tough to watch. It's just Devin Haney he takes the air out the ball. Devin Haney will sit on a lead. That's his issue. That's the reason why people like me may not want to watch him fight all the time. Devin Haney will sit on a lead. He will cruise to a UD. It's like he's there for the win, as you should be as a boxer, right? But his fans will go as far as to say that you're hating, you're this, you're that. I don't have any problem with what Conor Ben and Eddie Hearn said. They said he's boring. They said because the second half of the fight was boring. It was boring as hell. I was so hyped for this fight, and I completely disassociated with the second half because of Haney's inactivity. I would have gladly watched him box Norman's head off for, like just technically, like just jab, 1-2. Like I would have loved to even watch that for 12 rounds to a UD. But it's like there was way too many inactive rounds by Haney for me to sit up here and say it was a masterclass. And for guys to say that he can take out this guy or that guy, it's like, no, he only can compete with the guys at 147. That's it. He took out the best champion at 147. So, okay, we're using the triangle theory or fight math. In theory, he can beat the other champions, but styles make fights still. in theory, he can beat the other champion since he took out the best champion in the weight division, right? And honestly, Brian Norman Jr., he wasn't better than Boots, and Boots would have destroyed him. Boots would have never, they would have never gone the distance. If he was fighting Boots, Boots would have, no, it wouldn't have happened. But I still want to say a lot of people hate on Devin Haney because of, especially that situation with Loma. People still think Loma won that fight. He did not win that fight. And that version of Devin Haney, yes, he still clinched. Yes, he still took the air out of the ball, but he was more active. You know, he threw more punches. He utilized his jab a lot more. With Devin Haney, it's like, I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe that Ryan situation did do something to him to where he is gun shy. He did not put on a masterclass. Yes, yes, it was boring. But at the end of the day, he walked away with the W, as you're supposed to as a boxer. It's like me, he's still getting money, but would he be, would people be showing up if it wasn't in Riyadh? I'm not sure. Devin Haney hasn't won any fans with that performance. He's kept his fans in. And I have a theory that a lot of the people who either love or hate Haney, they picked a side a long time ago. A lot of these guys, their fans have picked a side a long time ago. My friend is a big Devin Haney fan, and I even try to put him up on game and get him to understand that no, he can't compete with these guys. Devin Haney is in his own lane, and it's like then you have the rest of the guys at 147. That's the only division that he's above. And when you're talking about the pound for pound list, top 10 people have Shakur over him, and I would agree with that. Both of them are 3 division world champions. Yes, Devin Haney has been undisputed at 135, but he beat Kambosos and he beat Lomachenko. Lomachenko, good name, but was he prime? No. Kambosos, that nigga lost every fight after that. So that undisputed run didn't really age that well, but at the end of the day, and people talk about, him and Shakur, he priced himself out with Shakur. Shakur was going to make less than what he made fighting other champions than with Devin Haney. You would think it would be more, but, he priced himself out. He didn't want to fight Shakur, and it is what it is. He was getting drained at that weight, and, he moved up to 140, and we know what happened. Regis, Ryan, whatever. But I'm just keeping it real. Yeah, maybe T.O. did duck him. Maybe T.O. did duck him, but T.O.'s about to fight Shakur. So we'll see what happens with that. I have Shakur winning. But with Devin Haney, he's a great boxer. In my opinion, already a Hall of Famer. If Tim Bradley is a Hall of Famer, Devin Haney's definitely a Hall of Famer. It's just when people are not really rating him in the way that his fans are rating him. We see Shakur as a better fighter because Shakur we just saw his performance with Zepeda. Shakur can stand there in front of his opponent and make him miss. That's the reason why people call Shakur boring, because of his defense, not because of clinching. Shakur has a lower output. Shakur just shows level. He's literally going to school you for 12 rounds. He's not going to take any rounds off. That's one thing I'll give Shakur. He don't take rounds off. He will school you and cook you for 12 rounds, make you miss for 12 rounds. That's the reason why, I don't find Shakur's style boring in comparison to Devin Haney, because they go about doing it different ways. Devin Haney will school you for 3 rounds, then take 2 rounds off, then school you for 1 round, and then take, it's you can't stay engaged with his fights too much because of his inactivity. So it's nothing wrong with taking breaks and maybe giving a round away, but it's the way he goes about it, with just the constant clinching, like a whole round of clinching. That's disgusting. Nobody wants to watch that. But is Devin Haney a skilled fighter? Yes, but does he put all his skills on display and show that he's levels above his opponent every single night, or that he fights? No. Devin Haney will sit on the lead. Devin Haney will take his foot off the gas, and it's not even about getting the knockout. What he did to Regis, if he fought like that against Brian Norman Jr., I'll be on here singing his praises. You feel me? I'll be on here saying, Devin Haney, you feel me? Big Debo, So, because that's my favorite Devin Haney fight. He really, really, really impressed me. Even the Ryan fight, he was winning that fight before, all that stuff happened. But Shout out to Osterine. Just playing. But Devin Haney, he's still a great fighter. Don't take nothing away from him. But when we start having these conversations about his peers and how he looks in comparison to his peers and how good he is pound for pound, it's like he is at that 10. He is on the lower end of the pound for pound because he has not shown that he's levels above the guys that you rate above him. His resume is carrying hard, not resume. His accomplishments are carrying hard body because it's not even to say Brian Norman isn't a good name on his resume. It's not. But keeping like that guy ducked Boots, and we see what Boots did to Stanionis. So he would have did the same thing to Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney didn't stop Brian Norman Jr. So it's not that he didn't try, it's just that he couldn't. It's not to say that Devin Haney doesn't have power. He does have power. I think Brian Norman Jr. is chinny. So, and Devin Haney has good technique. So I think that had both sides, had something to do with it. But either way, Devin Haney, tighten up, brother. You did what you were supposed to do, and I'm not taking no credit away from him whatsoever. It was a great win, but clear out the 147 division and try to move with the 154, but don't take too long. Those guys up there in their prime, they're around your same age, and we can really start to see how great Devin Haney is when he's in there with a Virgil Ortiz, when he's in there with a Jerron Boots Ennis, a Fundora, who else? A Baz Barrow, or Brandon Adams, a Boachuk, who else? Backroom. We got to see you in there with some dogs now, some guys who are experienced, who are respected champions, guys who really are threats. And I'm not saying that he doesn't fight anybody. Devin Haney does fight some people, but it's like, let's see you in there with somebody just skilled as you as a Boots Ennis or a Virgil Ortiz, or as a why am I forgetting his name? Xander Zayas. Let's see that, man. And I want to see if the levels are the same. And I don't think that they will be, because I think those guys are bigger than him. But or they're just as skilled as him in their own right. So we'll see. But credit to Devin Haney, the Dream Debo Haney. Is he boring? Yes and no. He's boring if he's trying to just cruise to a UD. But if he's actually in there trying to box, like a Regis fight, like a Loma fight, he's very exciting to watch. Peace.